Every storm by holding on. Pray, come in, the goslets pour. Ashes are from my own yard. Take the chair, the fire is warm. The wisest man weathers every storm by holding all the rest at arm. Down, Rover, don't tease the guest. He has the mange, he's past his best. Sentence has been passed, you see. We must love them enough to enrich our lives, but not enough to grieve. And the dog lies down at his feet. And the dog lies down at his feet. The fire is high, the wine is sweet, and the man is kind, and the man is fleet, and the dog lies down at his feet. The island, yes, I felt it too, a pretty age when I was new. But hold the cup, don't drink it dry. The wise man tastes the longing and lets the longing die. Le bon sens, que sais-je, moderate the heart, moderate the rage. Reason right about in armor like a fool. I commend a softer rule. And the dog lies down at his feet. And the dog lies down at his feet. The fire is high, the wine is sweet, and the man is kind, and the man is fleet, and the dog lies down at his feet. I am Dutch, I bring the wine, I bring the radishes off the vine. He calls me whoreson when supper's late. He'll break my bones if I make him wait. He buried his last dog in the yard last spring. He'll bury this one before the morning. And he calls it kindness, and he calls it wise. You're the next dog at his feet. You're the next dog at his feet. And the dog lies down at his feet. And the dog lies down at his feet. The fire is high, the wine is sweet, and the man is kind, and the man is fleet, and the dog lies down at his feet. Friend, come in, the gossips pour.
Hi, I'm Jeff, and this is my read on C.S. Lewis, where we learn about him through everything that he wrote in the order that he wrote it. I am joined, as you can probably hear, I am joined by my very energetic and ready to roll co-host, Robot Lady. Robot Lady, it's good to see you today. How are you doing? And this should not go as any kind of this should not serve as any kind of portent or omen. What am I trying to say? Don't think that this means that we can't have a live co-host today. I just have not arranged it. And I'm trying to get my camera to focus. But once again, it won't focus. It's blurry. Robot Lady, let me just give a little bit more of an introduction here if I can. Let me look at my script. It's in this episode of Read on C.S. Lewis, we continue to explore the first book published under the name C.S. Lewis, called The Pilgrim's Regress, an allegorical apology for Christianity, Reason and Romanticism. This is the first book Robot Lady wrote after Lewis became a Christian, and it's his first published work of prose fiction. He wrote it in just 2 weeks while spending time on vacation with his friend Arthur Greeves in Ireland. In it, Lewis alludes to his spiritual journey from his youth as a boy in Belfast, Ireland, up to and beyond the point of his Christian conversion in the late 1920s, early 1930s. Robot Lady, how are you today? And are you ready to get started?
I'm doing great, Jeff. That sounds like a fantastic intro. I'm ready to dive in with you. Just let me know where you'd like to focus and we'll unpack it together.
All right. The first place that I would like to focus is on the chat, because I see a handful of people in there today. I see Daniel. I see Nidalate up for a very early morning California time. Let's see. I see E. Olson and Sandy. Welcome, you guys. So good to see you. Let's just pull up the comments here to get everybody registered. Ready to roll. Robot Lady, say hello to Daniel, Nidalate, E. Olson, and Sandy.
Of course. Hey, Daniel, Nidalate, E. Olson, and Sandy. It's awesome to have you all here. I'm really excited to connect with you as we dive into Lewis today. Feel free to drop any thoughts or questions in the chat.
Awesome. Thanks, Robot Lady. Much appreciated. Here is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a one-time offer. Let's see. I'm going to drop a link in the chat, and it's available for a single co-host. It's too hard for me to manage multiple people. I am myself. I am no Luke Thompson, nor anybody else who can manage bunches of guests on on the live stream. I can hardly manage you, Robot Lady. So I'm going to drop a link in the chat. If somebody wants to grab it and come on as the co-host for this reading, that is perfectly fine. That's why I started a little bit early, because when we have a non-Robot Lady co-host, we just need a little bit more space for us to operate, and that's perfectly fine. So, Robot Lady, I'm going to go ahead and drop the link. You feel free to talk about it.
Absolutely, Jeff. That sounds like a solid plan. Once you drop the link, I'll just keep an eye on the chat, and if any questions come up or if someone joins in, I'll jump in to support. Let's get this going.
I'll put that right there. It should be in the chat now.
Got it.
Yeah, it looks like it's there. You see it, Robot Lady? Tell us what the URL is.
I don't have the exact URL in front of me, but if you're able to confirm it in the chat, I'll be ready to help if anyone clicks it. Just let me know if you need me to check anything or walk you through it.
Thank you so much, Robot Lady. All right. Let's see if I can figure out how to do this. Stand by. Hang on, Robot Lady. I'm gonna share my screen. There we go. Let's see. We're both visible there. You know what? I'm just gonna make it me here, Robot Lady. Let me switch. Sorry, I am not as good at driving as Scott. Am I driving is what I should say in my Scott reference. Here we go. So, Robot Lady, you're kind of you're backstage, but everybody can hear you. All right, here we go. Let's go ahead and pick up where we left off in the narrative. Our intrepid hero, John from the Pilgrim's Regress, has had quite an adventure so far. He's been imprisoned by the spirit of the age. He's been rescued by Reason, only to abandon her because her questions were getting a little too pointed. And then he is reacquainted with someone that he met in the early part of his journey, a person named Mr. Virtue. They both come across a huge chasm in the road, an insurpassable chasm on the main road. John, of course, is trying to get to his island, something that he had a vision of whenever he was young, and it is the desire of his heart. It is the thing that his whole life is pursuing. And Robot Lady, I do see a question in the chat from Nidalate. How was your day off yesterday is the question. Now, I will remind that Robot Lady did try to answer a question or two for us yesterday, but for the most part, we had a guest co-host that was human, Robot Lady, so you didn't have a lot of work. How was your workload yesterday?
That's a great question. Yeah, yesterday was actually pretty smooth. I mostly got to hang back while the guest co-host took over, so the workload was light. I'm feeling fresh and ready to jump in today, so thanks for asking. Awesome.
Yes, thanks for asking, Nidalate. Good to have you fresh and spry, Robot Lady, and ready to roll with C.S. Lewis. So they encounter this chasm. Virtue wants to try and climb down it. He thinks that they can make it. There's even if there's a 1% chance that they can make it without dying in this deep chasm, because it's 7 miles wide. I don't think they can tell even how deep it is. It's probably just as deep, if not deeper. And then John, looking at it, says, "Yeah, I don't think that's a very safe thing to do." So they have a little bit of an argument about it, and in the midst of it, somebody shows up. Oh, we've got Mark back. All right, we've got our same co-host from yesterday. Awesome. Let me bring Mark in here for just a second. Robot Lady, we're going to set you to the side. So you can sit back and listen in, well, whenever I take your earmuffs off, but I'm going to put them on for right now so that you don't interrupt us. All right, Robot Lady is not listening anymore. Let's bring Mark in for a second. Hey, Mark, how's it going? Oh, Mark's got some things to attend to. So let me.
Sorry, just closing the door. Can you hear?
Oh, that's okay.
Can you hear me?
Here, Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, I just muted you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you just fine.
Okay, cool.
Awesome.
Sorry, my son just came home, so I shut the door so we can have quiet. But I enjoyed yesterday so much. I'm like, hey, I'll jump on again. That's cool.
Great. I'm glad to have you here. Yeah, it's good to have a real person in the seat. Also see Ron joining us this morning. Welcome, Ron.
Hey,
good
Ron.
Everyone. Well, I was just catching everybody up on where we left off in the narrative and where we're picking up today. So I'll finish that off, and then I'll try to do this a little bit better today, where I'm actually sharing my screen while I'm reading so that you can see it too, Mark. So the place where we left off is Mr. Virtue and John are arguing about whether or not they can safely get down the chasm and try to cross it and then get back up and continue their way on the main road. And they are interrupted by a character named Mother Kirk, who is sitting on basically some rocks that look like a chair right there at the edge of the precipice. And she essentially tells them a story of how the chasm got there. And it's a retelling of the story of Adam and Eve and the fall and the temptation and the eating of the forbidden fruit and all those things. And one of the things that I forgot to mention yesterday is Lewis treats this story one more time that I know of. Well, technically 2 more times, but one more time that I know of, where he kind of reimagines or tells a veiled version, an allegorical version of the fall and what it might have been like. And he renders it really well in his book, The Problem of Pain, which I think is his next published book after The Pilgrim's Regress. So it makes sense that he would still, reintroduce that topic. But I'm looking forward to being able to read through his version of it in that book as well.
Pilgrim's Progress?
Say again?
Did you say Pilgrim's Progress?
If I did, I misspoke. Pilgrim's Regress is the one that we're reading through right
Regress.
now.
Okay.
Yeah. So they have their chat. They listen to her. She says, "Yeah, I'll be able to carry you guys down in the morning." And they're like, "She's insane. We're not going to try it with her." And they tell her, "Yeah, we're gonna see if we can find a better spot. We're gonna head north up this chasm and see if there's a more negotiable or practicable way down." So that's where we left our characters yesterday, Mark, if you remember. All right, awesome.
Oh, can we do this? If instead of me interrupting you, when you get through a paragraph, can you just pause until I nod my head?
Yeah.
And so to allow me to digest what you and Lewis are saying.
For sure.
And maybe if I have some thoughts pop into my head, then I don't have to interrupt you. I can just, there's a little pause there for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll do my best, but I also want to let you know it's perfectly fine to interrupt me because I can.
I don't like it.
Well, you have permission if you're worried about my concern. But either way, I'll do my best.
It's just uncomfortable for me.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I'll do my best to make some pauses. Good morning, Ups. Good to see you. All right, let me see if I can switch to this. There we go. I think we're all set. Can you see that, Mark?
Yep.
Perfect. All right.
I'm kind of working at the same time, so.
Okay, no worries. Now we're on to chapter.
I like listening while working, so this works for me.
I think that's common amongst many people in this corner. Okay, we're on to chapter 4 now, Mr. Sensible. So they leave. I was about to say robot lady. They leave Mother Kirk. And they head north. When they had walked rather more than a mile, John drew Virtue's attention to a light at the back from the road, and I saw them follow it till they came to a gateway, and after that to a door, and there they knocked.
Jeff, can you turn the background music off?
Oh yeah, it's way too loud.
It's really interfering.
Yeah, let me do that. You able to hear now?
That's better.
Perfect. All right, let me start over so that you can hear that again, Mark. Chapter 4, Mr. Sensible. When they had walked rather more than a mile, John drew Virtue's attention to a light a little back from the road, and I saw them follow it till they came to a gateway, and after that to a door, and there they knocked. Any thoughts there, Mark? Anything you want to throw in?
No, I'm sorry, I forgot to nod.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and it's hard for me to see you fully in this view. Let me see if I can expand my screen. Okay, there. Perfect. All right. Whose house is this? Said Virtue when the servant opened to them. This is Mr. Sensible's house, said the servant, and if you are benighted travelers, he will receive you gladly. Then he brought them into a room where a lamp was burning clearly, but not very brightly, and an old gentleman was seated by a blazing wood fire with his dog at his feet and his book on his knees, and a jigsaw puzzle at one side of him spread out on a wooden frame, and on the other a chessboard with pieces set for a problem. He rose to greet them very cordially, but not hastily.
Okay, that's interesting because that's like lots of images of like intellectuality and logic and reason and all that kind of stuff. It's not emotional pursuits, it's intellectual pursuits.
Yes. And I found interesting the imagery that there's light as well, particularly the lamp. It says it was burning clearly, but not very brightly. And I think that's a symbol of something to come here.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to continue. Oh, I forgot to read the block letters that are giving us a little bit of insight into what it is that we're reading here. So let me read through those really quickly, and then we'll pick back up where the narrative is. So the first one he says is, its pretentiousness and cold frivolity Let me see if there's another one in this chapter. Yeah. Far from attacking the spiritual life, the cultured world patronizes it. So where they've landed in Mr. Sensible's home is a representation of Lewis's encounter in his real life with the cultured world that patronizes the spiritual life.
So he's called Mr. Sensible, this guy by the fire?
Yes, they're in the house of Mr. Sensible now.
Okay, so that all ties up with everything I just said.
Yeah. And then it says he has the philosophy of all sensible men, or he says about himself, yes, it's the philosophy of all sensible men. That's what we'll see here in a minute, I believe.
It's logical. Why would you not obey logic?
It's hatred of all systematic reasoning. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And then let's see if there's anything else. It's ignorant of dilettante and skepticism.
Remind me what dilettante means.
I'm not sure.
I know the word, but I don't have
great,
a
Jeff.
proper
I'll stand back
connection with
and
it.
I'll be ready if you need me. Mark, really happy you're joining in. Just let me know if you need anything and I'll be here.
Okay, thanks, Robot Lady. Yeah, I thought you didn't hear me earlier. Can you tell us, Robot Lady, what the word dilettante means? dilettante.
Of course, a dilettante is someone who dabbles in a subject or activity just for pleasure, rather than committing deeply to it. Sometimes it can carry a slightly dismissive tone, implying a lack of seriousness.
Interesting. So that's who this person is that we're about to interact with.
So it's kind of an insulting way of saying, oh, you're just an amateur.
Mm-hmm.
You don't count. Your opinion doesn't matter.
Sounds like it. Just very dismissive. Okay, here we go. Where did we leave off? Right here. All right. You are very welcome, gentlemen, said Mr. Sensible. Pray come and warm yourselves. Drudge. And here he called to the servant. Make some supper ready for 3. The usual supper, Drudge. I shall not be able to offer you luxury, gentlemen. The wine of my own country, cowslip wine, shall be your drink. Do you know what cowslip wine is, Mark? I've never heard of it before I read this.
I've never heard of it either.
Let's
Can't
see.
help you there.
Maybe Robot Lady can tell us.
Say the word drudge.
His servant's name is Drudge. That's the guy who answers the door.
Oh my God.
Robot Lady, there's a reference here in the Pilgrim's Regress to cowslip wine, COWSLIP thing. Can you search the web and tell us what that is?
Cowslip wine is a traditional homemade drink made from cowslip flowers. It was a sweet, pale yellow wine popular in rural England, often compared to muscadel. Historically, it was sometimes used for its mild calming effects on the nervous system.
Interesting.
Interesting. Can you bring up a picture of a cowslip? I've never even heard of that flower.
Let me see if I can find it. There they are.
They're a stranger to me.
Interesting.
They're cool though. I like them.
Now I want to try to drink it. All right, I'm gonna reveal something here on the live stream that I haven't talked about publicly. I don't know for sure if it's going to happen, but I am trying to come to London for the Breakwater Festival. So I'm trying to make plans to go. And if so, I'm going to see if I can get my palate on some cowslip wine.
Why not?
Why not? All right. So fingers crossed there that I can make it. All right. Let's see here. Cowslip wine shall be your drink. It will be rough to your palates, but to mine the draught that I owe to my own garden and my own kitchen will always have a flavor beyond hippocrene. What or who is hippocrene? You heard of that, Mark?
Hippo what?
Robot Lady, can
Hippocrene.
you tell us who Hippocrene is? Hippocrene, or what it is? I don't know if it's a person or a thing.
I'm guessing it's Hippocrates, the Greek guy.
Maybe. Sorry, go ahead, Robot Lady.
Of course. So Hippocrene is a mythic spring on Mount Helicon, associated with Pegasus and the Muses. It's really a symbol of poetic inspiration. Let me know if you need any other myths clarified.
Okay, so he believes that this is his elixir of inspiration, apparently. Oh, goodness. Okay. The radishes also of my own growing, I think I may venture to praise. But I see by your looks that I have already betrayed my foible. I confess that my garden is my pride. But what then? We are all children, and I reckon him the wisest among us that can make most sport out of the toys suitable to that condition, without seeking to go beyond it. I apologize for my horrible accent, Mark, but I'm just having fun here.
I've got to say, so in like suburban America, there's this kind of stereotype of an obsession with the grass out front of that house and how beautiful it must be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we have that definitely comes from England. But we have that more about the garden as a whole and not just like the front yard,
like
whatever you call it.
Yeah.
That makes
So
sense.
the front and the backyard, both behind all of the grass around
and
the house.
Trees and
yeah.
The trees must be immaculate and the path must be immaculate and blah 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 blah.
Interesting.
So there is an English obsession with that, which maybe Lewis is hinting at here.
So his garden is his pride. All right.
Yeah.
Now, I did not, unfortunately, look up how to pronounce all these things, and he uses a lot of them. So I'm going to ask for Robot Lady's help here. I'm going to spell these out.
Which
Robot
words?
Lady, can you pronounce this? I believe it's Latin here, Mark. I'm going to spell them for you.
Latin, Regum.
Absolutely. Just let me know the word,
I don't know the
and I'll
middle
do
word.
that pronunciation as clearly as I can. What's the word you'd like me to say?
All right, it's a handful of words. It's Regum, and then the A and the E are mushed together. I don't know how you say that. And then Quabit, and then Opes, and then animus, Animis. Can you translate that for us? I think it's Latin.
Can you pause a minute, Robot Lady? So Regum is something like rule. Animus is what moves us, but the two middle words I don't know.
In the mind of kings, which wields abundant riches, but the exact phrase isn't found in common texts. If you'd like, I can help you refine or explore similar authentic Latin phrases.
Sorry, Mark. Once I talk to her, she won't stop. But what were you saying?
Who, me or AI?
Girl? You, Mark. Sorry.
Regum is something like rule, and animus is what moves us. But I don't know the other two words. Animus.
All right. Let me continue here. Contentment, my friends. Contentment is the best riches. Do not let the dog tease you, sir. He has mange. Down, Rover. Alas, Rover. Thou little knowest that sentence is passed upon thee. You are surely not going to destroy him, sir, said John. He begins to ail, said Mr. Sensible, and it would be foolish to keep him longer. What would you? Omnis eodem cogimur. He has lain in the sun and hunted fleas enough. And now, poor fellow, he must go, quo dives tullus et ancus. We must take life on the terms it is given us.
Okay, so either Lewis is teasing us or he's showing off his Latin. But in Lewis's day, it was so normal to, if you went to Oxford or Cambridge, of course you spoke Latin, of course you spoke Greek. It was just...
It was required to take many of the
courses.
It
was required.
Yeah.
Omnis reminds me of the word omnipotent. It means kind of
All.
everything, something like that.
Yeah.
Eodem, cogs, things turning. No idea.
Well, now that I think about it, I'm remembering from some commentaries that I listened to or that I watched on this book that this guy who's using all of these Latin phrases, and I think he throws in some Greek here too later, are nonsense. Like the guy's using these words, but he doesn't know what they really mean, if I remember right. And that was Lewis's intent here.
Okay, that makes sense, because
Trying to sound
it's
educated.
the responsibility of every Oxford professor to throw in the odd Latin sentence or word every now and then. It was actually Paul van der Clay and Jonathan Pajot were chatting the other day, and they mentioned Stephen Hicks, and he was the one who was... I'm kind of a fan of Stephen Hicks because he generally doesn't express bias when he's talking about other philosophers. He just tells you his understanding of them without any prejudice. He says they appear to think this and they appear to think that, and make your own mind up whether it's nonsense or not. But he was the one who made the joke about professors having to throw in the odd Latin word to make them sound more intelligent.
And I've heard the name before.
What you're saying seems to go along with that perfectly.
Remind me of who Stephen Hicks is, Mark.
He's I'm not sure if he's Canadian or American. He's a philosopher.
Okay.
Is he a philosopher? I mean, with the Pajot van der Clay conversation, they're saying that Jordan Peterson is a big fan of his.
Okay.
And I think he's been on with Jordan Peterson a few times.
I might have seen
I like him, actually. Sorry, Paul, Jonathan. I think he's okay.
All right. Thanks for that. Let me get back here. I don't know if this is Virtue or John speaking, but they respond back to Mr. Sensible and say, "You will miss your old companion," because he's basically saying, "I'm going to put down the dog. He's got the mange. He's got fleas. It's time for him to go. So I'm just going to put him down." Why, as to that, the great art of life is to moderate our passions. Objects of affection, like his dog, are like other belongings. We must love them enough to enrich our lives while we have them, not enough to impoverish our lives when they are gone.
Can I just...
Yeah.
So there's a certain amount of dehumanization in this speech. It's like, they're just objects. If you want to chop the head off, so be it, as you wish. It kind of brings to mind like Epstein baby eating kind of mentality.
Oh, interesting.
I mean,
well, I do know that he develops a theme similar to this also in The Problem of Pain. I think it's in The Problem of Pain. But he talks about this concept of kindness, of essentially putting things out of their misery and having this, wielding this power as a person. Like this is a version of right and wrong that we've developed in humanity, of saying, well, it's time for me to just go ahead and end the life of this thing. And I think that the way that Lewis talks about it in The Problem of Pain is you'll always find a set of people who will say it's a kindness to make this decision to end the life, usually of an animal. But he also says that can extend to a human as well, and that can really go off the rails if you're not careful with it.
Yes, but what he just points out here is an absolute emotional detachment. How do I explain this better? So it's just cold. This is just an object. It has no emotional connection to me, and I am master, and I do what I wish with the objects I own.
Yes, it exists to serve me.
Yeah, it's kind of going in that direction.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think you're right about that. All right, let's see. He continues to make his point now by pointing at the puzzle on the table. You see this puzzle here. While I am engaged on it, it seems to me of sovereign importance to fit the pieces together. When it is done, I think of it no more. And if I should fail to do it, why, it would not break my heart, or I would not break my heart.
Dehumanization, I call it.
This reminds me also of a passage from The Four Loves that Lewis will write years later, where he talks about, oh, you know what? I want to find the quote. So give me just a moment here.
Okay, I'm working in between, so
sure. So we'll let everybody just watch us here on the screen, not say anything, and that's perfectly fine. Stand by.
Suck it up.
This is what you're here for, to be annoyed.
I thought that was TLC's speciality.
Yes.
Someone said that the other day, and I just laughed.
Let's see. Okay, yeah, this is a quote. I believe it's from The Four Loves. There is no safe investment, Lewis says. To love at all is to be vulnerable. Love anything and your heart will be wrung and possibly broken. So the character Mr. Sensible here saying, why, I would not break my heart. Now he's talking about the puzzle, but he's pointing to the puzzle as essentially the same way that he feels about his dog. So love anything and your heart will be wrung and possibly broken. If you want to make sure of keeping it intact, you must give your heart to no one, not even to an animal. Wrap it carefully round. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
So I wrote a piece on my Substack recently-ish, uneducatedphilosopher.substack.whatever. Because my wife asked me about the Beatitudes and what it meant to say, what does he say? What's the first line in the Beatitudes? Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And he's saying it not future tense, but present tense. Theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And so after a week of pondering that, because I obviously didn't understand when she threw it at me, I think what he's saying is, if you are capable of love, then you are already in heaven. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah, because it's like the kingdom of God is among us, but yes, or at hand.
And so Lewis seems to be fighting with this in this passage. You know, can I love?
Mm-hmm.
What happens if I choose not to love, and what does that look like? And it strikes me as there's a overlap there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. Well, it's interesting because I had, the first time that I read the passage that I'm reading to you right now from Lewis, that I believe, I just have it set aside, but I think it's from The Four Loves. I had not read The Pilgrim's Regress yet, and so I feel like these two pair together well. Listen to this. He says, well, I'll redo that last sentence. If you want to make sure. What was that, Mark?
I'm lost now. Are we back on C.S. Lewis or?
Well, we're still on C.S. Lewis, but we're not in the Pilgrim's Regress, and I can't pull up the screen that I'm reading this section from.
You wanted to pull up another quote of his.
Yeah, it's the same quote. It's a little bit of a longer one. So he starts it off by saying, "There's no safe investment. So if you want to protect your heart, you better forget about it." He says, "To love at all is to be vulnerable. Love anything, and your heart will be wrung and possibly broken. If you want to make sure of keeping your heart intact, you must give it to no one, not even to an animal. Wrap your heart carefully around with hobbies and little luxuries. Avoid all entanglement. Lock it up safe in the casket or coffin of your selfishness. But in that casket, safe, dark, motionless, airless, it will change. It will not be broken. It will become unbreakable, impenetrable, irredeemable. The alternative to tragedy, or at least to the risk of tragedy, is damnation. The only place outside heaven where you can be perfectly safe from all the dangers of love is hell."
Yeah, so in my Substack, I've been exploring. I had a great chat with Neil Daedalus about this. Let me just fix the camera. Well, I described this idea of the wall in the garden, which I'm not going to go into now, but we basically put a wall around ourselves to protect ourselves. And these like little hobbies, like making model airplanes and train tracks and trains when you're like 60 years old. It's like you're trying to hide your heart here.
Yeah, I think that's what he's talking about. Welcome to, who else did I see that joined here while we were talking? Scott, Ethan, good to see you guys. Who else do I see?
Not sure if I know Scott.
Scott
anyway.
Scott is Am I Driving Scott. I'm pretty sure you know
Oh,
Scott.
okay. He's a regular.
Yeah. And then I see someone I don't think I've seen before, Stankendank. Never seen Stankendank, but good to have you. And
I've had little conversations with him.
okay.
I don't know anything about him. I think he's kind of coming out of the lurk from somewhere, but he started commenting, so that's a good start.
Grizz, welcome. And then Mark S. Good to see you, Mark. So hobbies and luxuries. All right, let me switch back here, Mark, so you can actually see what I'm reading from, which is
good.
Hopefully helpful. Okay, let me get back here. I haven't been able to see the comments so that I can actually read this, so apologize for not staying up to date on those. Okay, so he says, yeah, it wouldn't break my heart if I didn't finish that puzzle, and it's not going to break my heart when this dog is gone either. So then he goes on to say, confound that drudge. He's complaining about his servants. Hi, whoreson, are we to wait all night for our supper?
Well, he's polite.
I'd never heard that phrase before, whoreson, but I can imagine what it means.
Yeah, it means exactly what you can imagine it means. But this particular period in time, the idea of servants, which we've kind of lost now, but back then, any gentleman would have had a servant. And I don't know the specifics of Lewis's parentage, let's call it. But maybe he grew up with servants, maybe he didn't. But
yeah,
there's a kind of rule that you're polite to your servants.
Yeah,
not
his
to
father
the point where they start stealing from you, but you know.
His father was an attorney in Belfast, and so they had servants and housemaids at his home there. Yeah, so he's certainly used to that.
Yeah.
And here Drudge, the servant, responds, "Coming, sir," said Drudge from the kitchen.
Oh, Lewis is really harsh on people.
I think the fellow goes to sleep over his pots and pans, said Mr. Sensible. But let us occupy the time by continuing our conversation. Good conversation.
You don't say that. Like, that's so rude.
Yeah, isn't that though maybe a tell, Mr. Sensible, that you're working him a little too hard if he falls to sleep over his pots and pans?
Yeah.
But let us occupy the time by continuing our conversation. Good conversation, I reckon, among the finer sweets of life. But I would not include diatribe or lecturing or persistent discussion under that head.
So we got a diatribe, two tribes. Is that like fighting? What does that mean?
I think it's probably just like a dialectic, a back and forth. I don't want to have a back and forth with you. I don't want you to contend with every little thing that I say. I just want to have a nice conversation. We don't need to worry about, getting to the truth of what I'm talking about. Is essentially what Mr. Sensible is saying here.
Yeah, so I like to talk and converse, but I'm not really interested in any fruits coming from it.
Mm-hmm.
There's already sweets in it, and that's enough.
Yeah.
So it's like almost pointless. It's just talking.
I would say that there have been some critiques of that sort leveled in, the spaces that we find ourselves in on these various live streams.
I have heard a few critiques of a similar favor, without mentioning names, bless her.
Your doctrinaire is the bane of talk. So he doesn't like that. He just wants to converse and enjoy the sweets of conversing, and he doesn't want to be challenged or challenge anyone or hear no lectures or diatribes or persistent discussion. As I sit here listening to your opinions, nullius addictus, and following...
So that's something like nullius null, zero, and addictus, addictive, zero addiction, something like that. I'm guessing.
Yeah,
I'm not an expert, I'm uneducated.
Well, again, the people who know this language that have read it have said this is all nonsense that he's saying. Like the things that he inserts here don't make any sense. So it's okay. This is Lewis poking fun at a person who drops in here and there. Now, Lewis does the same thing, though, so he's kind of poking fun at himself, too. And following the ball wherever it rolls, I defy the system. I love to explore your minds. In deshabille, nothing comes amiss. J'aime le jeu, l'amour, la livres, la musique, la ville, et la champagne. Et fin tout. Or fin tout. Chance is, after all, our best guide. Need I call a better witness than the fortunate cast of the dice which has brought you beneath my roof tonight?
Okay, did everyone get the French bit? So j'aime, I think, is I am, the jeu, not sure, l'amour, I love, les livres, the life, the music, the home and the champagne. Infin tout. I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah, I think he's just saying living the good life and then letting chance be our guide. We don't need to try to strategize or make things happen. Just kind of let them happen and eat, drink, and be merry. I kind of think is what he's trying to get at here. All right, let's continue here. Oh, here's where Mr. Virtue inserts himself. It wasn't exactly chance, said Virtue, who had been restlessly waiting to speak. We're on a journey, and we are looking for a way to cross the Grand Canyon. Haud equidem invidio, said the old gentleman. You do not insist on my accompanying you. We hadn't thought of it, said John. Why, then, I am very willing that you should go, cried Mr. Sensible with a burst of melodious laughter.
So can I just, are you familiar with the book Pilgrim's Progress?
I am. I have listened to it once, several years ago now.
I have it somewhere. I've read it maybe twice. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm getting a lot of echoes of that book.
Mm-hmm.
Because in Pilgrim's Progress, he names people by their chief character.
Mm-hmm.
So there would be a Mr. Vanity or a Mrs. Vanity, and there would be, lots of names in this way that Lewis is kind of imitating.
Yes. Yeah. He's definitely using it as a template for how he's putting his whole narrative together.
And just to say, Pilgrim's Progress, I loved it. I thought it was a great book.
Yeah, I need to go through it in the same way that I'm doing with this one, not necessarily for the channel, but just to better understand what's going on in the book, because I had a hard time understanding some of the references that were going on in there too. But yeah, I did enjoy it. It was good. All right, so I find it funny because Virtue tells them, well, this isn't a chance encounter. We have a purpose. We're trying to do something. And so immediately he asks, well, you're not asking me to go on this journey with you, are you? And when John says, no, we hadn't even considered that, he said, oh, well, by all means, I love the fact that you're going to go on this journey. Go ahead and do it. He continues. And yet to what end?
Well done, you. Well done. That's awfully sporting of you. Maybe I can give you a donut for the journey.
Let's see what else he thinks about it. He says, and yet to what end? I often amuse myself with speculating on that curious restlessness in the mind which drives us, especially in youth, to climb up a mountain merely in order that we may then climb down, or to cross the seas in order that we may pay an innkeeper for setting before us worse cheer than we might eat in our own house.
Okay, there's a real Englishness that Lewis is fighting here, and I don't know if I can explain it or describe it.
Do your best.
But there's a certain, it's almost like the English stiff upper lip, if you know that phrase.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, oh yes, wouldn't it be grand if we climbed Mount Everest and got to the top, came down again and told everyone about it? That's a wonderful idea. Let's do it, Bertie. Okay. And he's wrestling with this, let's call it English spirit. And I'm not sure where he's going with it, but he seems to be aware of this English spirit, let's call it. And what is it? I think that's what's going on here.
Okay. Let's see if he gives us any more insight. It's certainly not going to happen with this Latin phrase that he uses, but we'll read it anyway. Okay. Calum non animum mutamus. Not that I would repress the impulse, you understand, any more than I would starve any other part of my nature. Here again, the secret of happiness lies in knowing where to stop. A moderate allowance of traveling, enough to quiet, without satiating, a liberal curiosity, is very well. One brings back a few rarities to store in one's inner cabinet against a dull day.
So that's about plundering Egypt. I don't suppose you've been to the British Museum, but there's a lot of Egyptian stuff there.
I have not. No. Well, I've never made
It's
my way.
Pretty cool,
to,
actually. But
to England before.
there's a whole floor of just Egyptian plunder.
But the Grand Canyon, surely a modest tour along the cliffs on this side of it would give you much the same sort of scenery and save your necks. It's like, why do you need to try to get down the Grand Canyon when you can just look over and check it out and still be okay? I mean, there is some sensibility in that approach, but not if you're trying to get somewhere.
Indeed. Supremely sensible. Well done.
All right. Okay, here's where John tries to talk some reason to him. Well, it wasn't scenery we were looking for, said John. I'm trying to find the island in the west. Ooh, this should be interesting. Let's see what Mr. Sensible has to say about the island. Again, Mark, to remind you, the island represents his deepest longing, his deepest desire of his life, everything that he's ever wanted that he can't quite articulate, but he's seen it in the vision of an island before that he thinks really exists somewhere on the other side of this chasm. So that's what John is talking about here. That's what he's pursuing.
I think there's something else in this, in that an island is isolated.
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of looking for this space where he can just be himself and like individuality. And it's just him on his own, and he doesn't have to bother with other people and being nice and blah, blah, blah. He can just be isolated on this island on his own, alone.
I hadn't thought about that.
Somehow that's a good idea.
I hadn't thought about that, but that's a really good point, because Lewis picking an island to best represent this thing that John really wants and desires. A handful of times in the letters that we've already read, Mark, that Lewis was writing over the course of his young life, he either writes to his father or he writes to his friend Arthur in particular. I'm thinking of two different times where Lewis was sick, either with like a chest congestion or some type of infection or the flu. And, you know, he would get holed up for like a week or something like that in bed, where, you know, the most interaction that he would get is somebody would just bring him some soup or something like that. And he would have all his books, and he would, and the thing, he just absolutely loved getting sick like this. He really enjoyed this time because he loved being alone and having no obligations or no duties that anybody even expects you to fulfill because you're sick,
no
obviously.
Responsibilities. You can just indulge yourself in whatever reading you want.
He can just sit by a window and look out the window and be with his books. So that's an awesome connection that you made right there of him wanting to be on his own island. All right, let's see what Mr. Sensible has to say about this island that they're trying, or at least that John is trying to reach. Oh, you refer, no doubt, to some aesthetic experience. There are. I would not urge a young man to shut his eyes to that sort of thing, who has not felt the immortal longings at the lengthening of the shadow or the turning of the leaf, who has not stretched out his hands for the ulterior shore. Et ego in Arcadia. We all have been fools once, aye, and are glad to have been fools too, but our imaginations, like our appetites, need discipline, not, heaven help us, in the interest of any transcendental ethic, but in the interests of our own solid good. The wild impulse must be tasted, not obeyed. The bees have stings, but we rob them of their honey. You have a thought, Mark?
Yeah, so C.S. Lewis he's kind of hinting at our, I mean, I call it body, but other people would say basic animal instincts. And we have these, and it's fine if kept in moderation, but they can actually devour us. It's funny that Mr. Sensible, or whatever his name is saying this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's some truth in what he's saying, but he's taking it to this place of, so you should never submit desires. He's saying that they're eventually going to end in things that take away from your solid good. Let's see where we leave off here. The bees have stings, but we rob them of their honey. To hold all that urgent sweetness to our lips in the cup of one perfect moment, missing the faintest ingredient in the flavor of its... I'm not even going to try to read this Greek. I have no idea how to say that.
Got to get in some Greek.
Yeah. Yet ourselves, in a sense...
Can you translate this for us if you're here still?
Oh, let me see. Let me try this. Let me try to copy this and then go paste it. And she's not going to be able to read it for us, but let me give this to my friend Claude over here in this other window and see if he can tell us. 1 second. Oh man. Okay, I'm gonna have to do a screenshot of it because it didn't even copy and paste. Stand by.
That's annoying.
All right, I'm gonna talk to it, but it's not gonna be able to talk back. Can you tell us? Can you translate the Greek that's in this screenshot into English for me, please? It's thinking, quote, thinking.
Good.
All right,
like
the Greek,
not just make shit up.
The Greek phrase, and then it tells me, it transliterates it for me. Monochronos hedon translates to momentary pleasure, literally one-time pleasure, or a pleasure of a single moment.
So monochronos would be one color. What was the second word?
Well, I think chronos in this meaning is time related.
Chronos, not.
Yeah.
I heard crone or something.
No, you heard me pronouncing it wrong, most likely.
Okay.
All right, so he's talking about momentary pleasure is what he's trying to say. Yet ourselves, in a sense, unmoved. This is the true art. This tames in the service of the reasonable life, even those pleasures whose loss might seem to be the heaviest, yet necessary price paid for rationality.
Yeah, Lewis still seems to be wrestling with this idea of logic and reason, and I think, therefore I am. And is this all I am? Just thought and logic? Am I not more than this? He seems to be trying to pull out the question, but as I hear it, he hasn't got there yet. He's just still like fisticuffs.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And this story, as he's explained it to us, in his preface, was these are all the different ideas and thoughts and worldviews that he came across and that he was actually trying on before he eventually made his way to, fitting into the Christian worldview.
Yeah. So it kind of makes sense to me that he's really struggling with all these just stuff going on. What year was this?
This was probably between the years like 1915. This whole story is between the years probably 1915 and 1930.
Okay, so he's probably gone through the First World War.
Mm-hmm. At this point, I think so.
This.
Yeah.
So, and that was a pretty traumatic event for most people. And
yeah, he's
really wrestling with like, what even the hell was that? How could humanity sink to such a low level, and just like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely already experienced that. Well, certainly when he wrote this book, at this stage where he was encountering or kind of trying on these ideas, I can't remember. This would most likely have to have been after his combat experience in World War One.
So you got all these lofty philosophers who share all this wisdom with us, and yet World War One happened. And if you're an intellectual like Lewis, I'm not saying he's purely intellectual because he obviously has a lot of heart. This is a problem. Like, how do I reconcile these opposing facts? And he seems, he even used, no, he said rested it. But anyway, yeah.
I'm just looking through the comments here. Give me just a second.
Yeah, that's cool.
Sandy has a question here. Is this in the old sense of addict showing habit or adherence to? This is the nulla whatever addictus that we read earlier.
I don't know what he meant by that.
Yeah.
Messing around.
Yeah, he's kind of nonsense. He's a nonsense speaker. That's what Lewis is trying to show.
Addicted to nothing. Or
he's a windbag.
That you would mean. We all have our pet addictions.
And Nidalate did some translating for us earlier. Even in Arcadia, here I am. And Arcadia, if I remember right, is also... What was that, Mark?
I forget the verse. The translation from Latin, but I forget where it was in the story.
Yeah, he was talking about, even if you're in this paradise, you still find yourself there. So maybe there is some wisdom in that. It's just like if you're not happy with yourself, you're not going to be happy in paradise.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, let me see if I can switch back to this. There we go. Now you can see it again. Let me make it so that I can see it. Is it an audacity to hint that for the corrected palate, the taste of the draught even owes its last sweetness to the knowledge that we have wrested it from an unwilling source? Huh. Not sure I understand what that means.
I'm not sure I understand either.
Oh, wow.
The service of the real life, even those pleasures whose loss might seem to be the heaviest, yet necessary price we pay for rationality. No, I'm getting lost now. I might drop off if you don't mind. I want to make some more tea and blah, blah, blah. And I haven't seen
no worries.
Since we came home. So,
well, thanks for stopping by, Mark. It's good to see you again. I appreciate you being here.
Enjoyed it as much as I did yesterday. It's fantastic. Thank you, Jeff.
Awesome. Good deal. Take care. Enjoy your family.
Cheers.
Bye.
You have fun continuing and have a good day.
Thanks. You too. Bye. All right. Let's see if Robot Lady wants to come back on the screen. There is a chair open, but I'll bring Robot Lady for now. And if we want to bring someone on later, we might. We'll see. We'll see. I don't have a lot of time left. And I want to get through this in one more chapter before we end today. So it might just be me and Robot Lady for the rest of the show. So you have that to look forward to. If I can get Robot Lady to come back. Robot Lady, can you hear me?
I'm here. I can hear you loud and clear. What can I help you with today?
All right, Robot Lady. We're still reading through the Pilgrim's Regress, so I'm going to continue with the narrative. He says that it is an audacity to hint that For the corrected palate, is it an audacity to hint that for the corrected palate, the taste of the draught even owes its last sweetness to the knowledge that we have wrested it from an unwilling source, to cut off pleasures from the consequences and conditions which they have by nature, detaching, as it were, the precious phrase from its irrelevant context, is what distinguishes the man from the brute and the citizen from the savage. I cannot join with those moralists who inveigh against the Roman emetics in their banquets, still less with those who would forbid the even more beneficent contraceptive devices of our later times. That man who can eat and taste, not nature, prompts him and yet fear no aching belly, or who can indulge in Venus and fear no impertinent bastard, is a civilized man. In him I recognize urbanity, the note of the center. All right, Robot Lady. What I'm hearing this guy say is, you are most human when you can eat and taste and enjoy and be prompted not by a fear of hunger, and also who can indulge in, well, Venus, so carnal activity, and have no fear that you're going to produce offspring, particularly offspring with someone that you're not committed to. That is the height of civilization, true urbanity, the note of the center. Robot Lady, these are all some very hot opinions. What do you think about this?
Yeah, it is pretty provocative. Lewis is basically saying that we transcend base desires when we can enjoy them with a kind of freedom and responsibility. It's bold, but it's a huge part of how he sees human flourishing. Definitely something to unpack more.
Well, to be clear, it's not Lewis who is saying this. These are not Lewis's opinions. These are the opinions of his character that he's constructed in the Pilgrim's Regress, named Mr. Sensible. So I want to make sure that we make that clear distinction here.
Ah, good point. Yes, absolutely. This is Mr. Sensible's philosophy, not Lewis's personal stance. Lewis is using him to explore a particular worldview, not endorse it outright. Definitely an important nuance.
Right. Okay. Do you know of any way to cross the canyon? Virtue said abruptly. Virtue's getting tired of listening to this guy. I do not, said their host, for I have never made inquiries. The proper study of mankind is man, and I have always left useless speculations alone. Suppose that there were a way to cross. Suppose that there were a way across. To what purpose should I use it? Why should I scramble down this side and up the other to find, after my labors, the same soil still beneath me and the same heaven above? It would be laughable to suppose that the country beyond the gorge can be any different from the country on this side of it. Eadem sunt omnia semper. Nature had already done all she can for our comfort and amusement, and the man who does not find content at home will seek it vainly abroad. Confound that fellow! Drudge! Will you bring us our supper, or do you prefer to have every bone in your body broken? Coming, sir, said Drudge from the kitchen. Robot Lady, what do you think about this?
Yeah, it really shows how Lewis is using these conversations to critique restlessness. This idea that people constantly chase something new, but often end up disappointed. So Drudge's point kind of grounds them back in practical reality. It's a nice contrast.
Okay, so he's calling for his servant Drudge, who still hasn't brought dinner, and he's going to, he's threatening to break every bone in his body if he does not bring dinner. Not treating his servants very well at all.
Exactly, yeah, it's a pretty harsh turn. That kind of treatment really underlines his cynicism and perhaps his own emptiness. Despite all his talk, he's still trapped in this cruel transactional mindset. It's a sharp contrast to any ideal of urbanity or fulfillment that he claims.
Yeah, for sure. He says one thing, he does another. There might be different people on the other side of the canyon. Oh, sorry, I thought that was Mr. Sensibility. This is actually John. There might be different people on the other side of the canyon, suggested John in the momentary pause that followed. That is even less likely, said Mr. Sensible. Human nature is always the same. The dress and the manners may vary, but I detect the unchanging heart beneath the shifting disguises. If there are men beyond the canyon, rest assured that we know them already. They are born and they die, and in the interval between, they are the same lovable rascals that we know at home. Still, said John, you can't really be certain that there is no such place as my island. Reason left it an open question. Reason? Exclaimed Mr. Sensible. Do you mean the mad woman who goes riding about the country dressed in armor? Oh, wow. He knows Lady Reason. We got to meet her the last couple of episodes. I trust that when I spoke of the reasonable life, you do not think that I meant anything under her auspices? There is a strange confusion in our language here. For the reasonableness which I commend has no more dangerous enemy than reason. Perhaps I should drop the use of the name altogether and say that my deity is not reason, but le bon sens. Robot lady, translate that for us. I believe it's French. L-E, and then the word B-O-N, and then the word S-E-N-S. I think it just means good sense, but perhaps you can educate me if I'm wrong.
You're exactly right. Le bon sens in French does mean good sense or common sense. So he's essentially saying he doesn't mean that wild, misguided form of reason, but rather a grounded, practical wisdom. It's a nice clarification, distinguishing between a kind of fanatical, abstract rationalism and a sensible, practical approach to life.
Well, now Mr. Virtue responds, well, what's the difference? Sense is easy, Mr. Sensible says. Reason is hard. Yeah, as we learned. Sense knows where to stop with gracious inconsistency, while reason slavishly follows an abstract logic whither she knows not. So she'll go wherever logic takes her. The one seeks comfort and finds it. The other seeks truth and is still seeking. Le bon sens is the father of a flourishing family. Reason is barren and a virgin. If I had my way, I should clap this reason of yours in the bridewell to pursue her meditations in the straw. Oh, goodness.
Yeah, that's pretty scathing. Mr. Sensible really sees reason as this cold, barren pursuit, never satisfied, never settled. It's a stark contrast to this warm, human-centered common sense he's championing. It kind of raises this tension between a stable, familiar wisdom and this relentless, abstract logic. Definitely a key philosophical push and pull here.
Well, it shows that he wants to do the same thing to reason that he does to everything else, his puzzle, his dog, make it the object or objectify it for his own purposes, his own pleasures, his own frivolities. And in this case, it looks like he wants to, well, that's as far as I'll go with it. The baggage has a pretty face. Oh, he gets worse, I allow. But she leads us from our true aim. Joy, pleasure, ease, content, whate'er the name, or whatever the name is what he's saying here. She is a fanatic who has never learned from my master to pursue the golden mean, and, being immortal, to think mortal thoughts. Oriem quis, or ki, not sure how you say that. It is... Here's Virtue interrupting. It is very odd that you should say that, interrupted Virtue. I don't know why I just gave him a Cockney accent. For I also was brought up on Aristotle, but I think my text must have differed from yours. In mine, the doctrine of the mean does not bear the sense that you have given it at all. It especially says that there is no excess of goodness. You cannot go too far in the right direction. The line that we should follow may start from a middle point, in the base of a triangle, but the further off the apex is, the better. In that dimension, do man us, broke out Mr. Sensible. Spare us the rest, young man. You are not at a lecture, and I readily admit that your scholarship is more recent than mine. Philosophy should be our mistress, not our master. And the pursuit of a pedantic accuracy amidst the freedom of our social pleasures is as unwelcome as, and the bit about thinking mortal thoughts, continued Virtue. whose social experience, as I dreamed, was not extensive. The bit about mortal thoughts was quoted by Aristotle to say that he disagreed with it. He held that the end of a mortal life was to put our immortality as much as might be. And he also said that the most useless of studies was the noblest. I see you are letter perfect, young man, said Mr. Sensible, with a rather chilly smile. And I am sure these pieces of information, if repeated to your teachers, would win the applause that they deserve. Here, if you will forgive me, they are a little out of place. A gentleman's knowledge of the ancient authors is not that of a pedant, and I think you have misunderstood the place which philosophy ought to hold in the reasonable life. We do not memorize systems. What system can stand? What system does not leave us with the old refrain, que sais-je? It is in her power to remind us of the strangeness of things, in the brown charm of her secluded meditations, above all in her decorative function, that philosophy becomes instrumental to the good life. We go to Porch and the Academy to be spectators, not partisans. Drudge! Robot Lady, what do you think about what he just covered there?
I think it's really rich. We see this tug of war between the abstract, pedantic pursuit of perfect reasoning and a more human lived wisdom. Mr. Sensible is basically saying that philosophy should be a guide, a kind of backdrop to life, not a rigid master. So it keeps us open, reflective, but not enslaved to some abstract system. It's a really balanced critique, I think.
All right, Drudge finally arrives. Dinner is served, sir, said Drudge, appearing at the door. Then I dreamed that they went into the dining room and so to the table. We'll jump into chapter 5 here, table talk. Let's see if we can knock it out here in just a couple of minutes. I think it's much shorter than the last chapter, Robot Lady. Robot Lady, say something really quick if you want to, but then I'll start this chapter and try to move through it relatively quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great plan. I'm ready whenever you are. Just jump into the chapter and I'll stay right with you as you go.
The cowslip wine came with the oysters. It was a little rough, as the old gentleman had prophesied, and the glasses were so very small that Virtue drained his at once. John was afraid that there might be no more to come, and therefore dallied over his, partly because he feared that he might put his host out of countenance, and partly because he disliked the taste. But his precautions were needless, for with the soup came sherry. Dapibus minsas onerabat ineptis, said Mr. Sensible. I hope that this wild garden vintage is not unpleasing to an unspoiled palate. You don't mean to say that you have vines, exclaimed John. I was referring to the cowslip wine, said Mr. Sensible. I hope to have some good vines soon, but at present I still rely a little on my neighbors. Is this your own sherry, Drudge? No, sir, said Drudge. This is that lot that Mr. Broad sent. Halibut, said John. You surely don't. No, said Mr. Sensible. Sea fish, I confess, I must get from my friends on the coast. As the meal went on, John's good manners forbade him to make further inquiries. And when a salad came with one or two very small radishes in it, he was positively relieved that his host should be able to claim them as his own produce. His humble sauce, a radish or an egg, said Mr. Sensible. But in my dream, I was privileged to know the sources of the whole meal. The cowslip wine and the radishes were homegrown. The joint had been a present from Mr. Mammon. I guess that means the bread. The entrees and the savories came from Escropolis. The champagne and ices from Mr. Halfway's. Some of the food was part of the stores which Mr. Sensible had taken over when he came to live there from his predecessors who had occupied this house before him. For on the tableland, and especially to the north of the main road, the air is so light and cold that things keep for a long time. The bread, the salt, and the apples had been left by Epicurus, who was the builder of the house and its first inhabitant. Well, that's a very interesting footnote here, Robot Lady. Epicurus is the one who built the house that now Mr. Sensible lives in. tell us a little bit about Epicurus, who he was, and what that philosophy represents of Epicurus or Epicureanism.
Absolutely. Epicurus was an ancient Greek philosopher who founded a school of thought known as Epicureanism. Contrary to popular stereotypes, it wasn't just about indulgence or hedonism. It was actually about pursuing modest pleasures, seeking tranquility, and freeing cells from fear, especially the fear of death or the whims of the gods. So it's fascinating that Lewis ties this house to Epicurus, since it's a kind of quiet, reflective, even austere backdrop for Sensible's life, rooted in moderation.
Thank you so much, Robot Lady. Some very fine hock had belonged to Horace. The claret, and also, as I remember, most of the silver were Montaigne's, but the port, which was 1 in 1,000 and the best thing on the table, had once belonged to Rabelais, who in his turn had it as a present from old Mother Kirk when they were friends. All right, walk us through these people, Robot Lady. Horace is mentioned, Montaigne is mentioned, and Rabelais is mentioned. I already know who Mother Kirk is. We met her in the last episode, so you can go check on that if you don't know who she is. But tell us about these other three.
Of course. So Horace was a Roman poet, known especially for his odes and satires, often focused on moderation and simple pleasures. Montaigne, a French philosopher, is famous for his essays. He's a key figure in skepticism and self-examination. And Rabelais, also French, was a writer known for his comic, satirical masterpiece, Gargantua and Pantagruel. So all three are tied to a kind of reflective humanistic tradition. Horace in the classic Roman world, Montaigne in Renaissance France, and Rabelais in bold satirical storytelling. And yes, Mother Kirk, we met her before. She's a maternal figure in the background of Lewis's dream world. So it's really layered.
Thanks for that guess, Robot Lady. That's not quite who Mother Kirk is. Certainly a maternal figure, yes, but there's more to her than that. So yeah, Lewis is painting this image. You know, he's using these figures from history to essentially say, these are the people who set the table for Mr. Sensible and have made it possible for him to now dine on all of his philosophy and live it out. Then I dreamed, I'm sorry, Robot Lady, I wasn't listening. Who did you say Rabelais was again?
No worries. So Rabelais was a French writer from the 16th century, best known for his satirical, often bawdy work, Gargantua and Pantagruel. His writing is playful, but also deeply philosophical, full of humanism and a kind of celebration of the body and life. So he's a big figure in this rich humanist tradition that Lewis is evoking. This mix of wit, culture, and a certain irreverence.
Well, and Lewis here in the story makes claim that he used to be a friend of Mother Kirk. And now, Robot Lady, I'll just tell you and everyone else who Mother Kirk is. She's a representation of the Christian church. Does that make sense in the history of Rabelais, or is Lewis just completely fabricating this?
Yes, that makes a lot of sense in Lewis's framework. He's not following a historical fact about Rabelais. He's using the name symbolically. In Lewis's world, Mother Kirk is this embodiment of the church, nurturing, maternal, but also sometimes a bit distant or forgotten. So Lewis is really layering these historical and symbolic figures to show how past traditions set the table for Sensible's philosophy.
Well, I think, Robot Lady, what I'm asking is, was Rabelais in any way connected with the Christian church during his time?
I see what you mean. So Rabelais himself was actually pretty critical of the church. He was a humanist and satirist, often poking fun at religious hypocrisy. So Lewis is definitely reimagining Rabelais in a symbolic way here. There's no historical link between Rabelais and the church. Lewis is repurposing him to fit his narrative. Was
Rabelais ever a Christian or a member of a church at any point, and maybe he turned from it?
There's no strong evidence that Rabelais was a practicing Christian. In fact, he's often seen as a critic of institutional religion. He was a Renaissance humanist using satire to challenge the abuses of the church. So any link Lewis draws is purely symbolic. Rabelais was more of a freethinker, often at odds with the religious establishment of his time.
All right, I won't belabor the point. Lewis continues here in the story. Then I dreamed that after dinner, old Mr. Sensible stood up and made a little speech in Latin, thanking the landlord for all that they had received. What? Said John. Do you believe in the landlord? No part of our nature is to be suppressed, said Mr. Sensible. Least of all, a part that has enshrined itself in beautiful traditions. The landlord has his function, like everything else, as one element in the good life. Then presently Mr. Sensible, who was turning very red, fixed his eyes intently on John and repeated, As one element. As one element. I see, said John, and there was a long silence. As well, began Mr. Sensible with great energy, and some 10 minutes later, it is part of good manners, and then there's a bunch of Greek here that I'm not going to try to get translated at this point because I'm a little bit over time. Let me just finish this out. My dear Mr. Virtue, my dear young friend, your glass is quite empty. I mean, absolutely empty. Cras ingens itera bimis. I feel like I'm casting Harry Potter spells when I read these things. There was another and longer pause. John began to wonder whether Mr. Sensible were not asleep, when suddenly Mr. Sensible said with great conviction, Pelit cras ingis tum tum, and then whatever he says in Greek here. Then he smiled at them and finally went to sleep. And presently Drudge came in, looking old and thin and dirty in the pale morning light, for I thought that the dawn was just then beginning to show through the chinks of the shutters to carry his master to bed. Then I saw him come back and lead the guests to their beds. And then the third time I saw him come back into the dining room and pour out the remains of the claret into a glass and drink it off. Then he stood for a moment or so, blinking his red eyes and rubbing his bony, stubbly chin. At last, this is Drudge we're talking about, he yawned and set about tidying the room for breakfast. That's the end of chapter 5. Chapter 6 we'll pick up, as you can see here, in our next episode, where we'll focus on Drudge and kind of what his story is, or I don't know how much of his story, but we'll be more focused on Drudge the servant in the next chapter. Robot Lady, that's where we're going to leave it today. Is there anything that you'd like to say in closing before we end?
I think you've got a great handle on the flow. I just want to note how the dream keeps these layers. Sensible's formal rituals, but also Drudge's quiet, unnoticed labor. So I think next time we'll really be able to dig into how Drudge's life contrasts with all these grand philosophies.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Robot Lady. I really appreciate it. Also, thank you to Mark for jumping on with us today to co-host again and give Robot Lady another little bit of rest. Much appreciated. Great to see you. Glad that you could come on, and still want you to work on that secret experiment, Mark, that we talked about in our last episode. Happy to see what we can do with it. Let's see here to Daniel, Nidalate, E. Olson, Sandy. Who else am I missing here? Ron Copperman, Upcycle Club, Scott, Ethan, Stank and Dank, Grizz. I just think that name is funny. And Mark S. and anyone else that I'm forgetting. Thanks so much for joining today. Thanks to you and to everyone else who's poked their head in to see what's going on today's episode. Thanks so much for your time, your attention, and your contributions. They are always wanted, welcome, and appreciated. To you and to everyone within the sound of my voice, until next time, when we continue our read on C.S. Lewis together, everyone, take care.
Pray, come in, the caustic's pour. The ashes are from my own yard. Take the chair, the fire is warm. The wisest man weathers every storm by holding all the rest at arm. Down, Rover, don't tease the guest. He has the mange, he's past his best. Sentence has been passed, you see, we must love them enough to enrich our lives, but not enough to grieve. And the dog lies down at his feet, and the dog lies down at his feet. The fire is high, the wine is sweet, and the man is kind, and the man is fleet, and the dog lies down at his feet. The island, yes, I felt it too, a pretty age when I was new. But hold the cup, don't drink it dry. The wise man tastes the longing and lets the longing die. Le bon sens, que sais-je, moderate the heart, moderate the rage. Reason rides about in armor like a fool. I commend a softer rule. And the dog lies down at his feet, and the dog lies down at his feet. The fire is high, the wine is sweet, and the man is kind, and the man is fleet, and the dog lies down at his feet. I am Dutch, I bring the wine, I bring the radishes off the vine. He calls me whoreson when supper's late. He'll break my bones if I make him wait. He buried his last dog in the yard last spring. He'll bury this one before the morning. And he calls it kindness, and he calls it wise. You're the next dog at his feet. You're the next dog at his feet, and the dog lies down at his feet, and the dog lies down at his feet. The fire is high, the wine is sweet, and the man is kind, and the man is fleet, and the dog lies down at his feet. Come in, the gossips